Thanks for coming out, guys. So we're gonna talk a little bit today about travel and transport across the different mediums. Just a quick by way of intro, just to say that I actually shifted here. Of course, I'm American, and when I shifted here in 2012, it was really a totally different landscape, a totally different ecosystem as it relates both to the way people thought about transport and travel and booking. Whether it's something for a cab, whether it's for a self-drive car, whether it's for a flight, whether it's for a hotel. And it was totally a different experience. It was a very painful one. I know as a consumer, when I first came to India actually in 2011, and then I slowly started to see that evolve and mature over time. And then what we saw, interestingly, was, and that started to mature, but then on the mobile side of things, at least from a consumer standpoint, and I kind of saw it with my eyes wide open, as an outsider, is really sort of late 2013 into 2014, we started to see really a huge surge in mobile on the app side about products that were really geared and focused towards making it so much easier to get around, again, whether it's via car, via cab, via flight, whether it's booking a hotel. And that's something which is only accelerated. And I think we're going to talk about some of those trends here today. And it's been a really incredible, exciting experience over the last 3 to 4 years. And again, as an outsider, just to start it off and kick it over to these guys, is that when we think about in the Indian context, well, as generally speaking, the country is still coming up very quickly as it relates to mobile app adoption and smartphone usage. And so as we think about almost skipping a generation, I like to say, and when we think about the people who are going to be using these products, who are using these products and services today, it is very, very different. It's unique to India. And I wanted to start off by actually asking all of you guys here, so when you think about what we're building for the Indian customer in this context, I mean, what we're building today within these different mediums in travel, what are they really clamoring for and demanding for that's really fundamentally different from the counterparts maybe in the US or Europe or China even. So maybe let's just start and kind of go down the line here.
Hello. Yeah. Hi, I'm Bikram Sohal from SavvyMob. We are also, like Greg mentioned, we are in the travel space, in the mobile space. We're building products or apps for last-minute hotel bookings. And the way we look at the market is it's really early days on the digital consumption for travel and bookings in India. Though the OTAs, Make My Trips are there, but just in the hotel space that I'm in, only 10% of the bookings happen through digital channels, 10 to 15%. So that's our market, and what we say is we launched our first product last year, both Android and iOS, for consumers to book hotels last minute. We overthought the process. We built in a lot of features, which over time we figured out people aren't using. And the experience was cluttered, so we started stripping things off and came up with a simpler UX and UI and design. And I think that works here. And even the Indian market, like the US or Western market, unlike the other Asian markets, China or Japan, likes less clutter. So that's my one take to anyone out here. Make it simple, make it clean to use, and less clutter, and just add more value into your product.
Thanks. Hi, I'm from Uber, and thanks, Greg. Just to take that ahead, just to begin with a little bit of wordplay, right? So let's just start with the mission for travel, right? The mission for travel is basic, it's simple. It's to ensure that a person gets from point A to point B safely, economically, reliably, right? When you take these prerequisites and you create a solution that makes these hygiene as reliable as running water, all right, that's where you start getting into interesting territory, right? And that's what Uber's been building for the last 6 years. We pretty much have made sure that you don't have to worry about any of these prerequisites when you travel, right? And that's something that helps us get into a very exciting domain, which is we start looking at how do we optimize and increase your productivity before you ride, during your ride, and after your ride. And what do we do with the time that you've invested in that travel to increase your productivity and save your cost and time? So that's an amplification of benefits. I'll talk a little bit more about that, further in this discussion. But to Greg's question, how do we customize that for the Indian context? All right. I think the Indian consumer across different stratas and segments is becoming very demanding very quick. There's not much segregation between what is an expectation of somebody in the States versus somebody, in a category A, B, or C town over here. They have the same expectation when it comes to, the service delivery standards, and the customer is evolving pretty quick as well, right? So from that perspective, it helps to be global. It helps to have, experience where you're able to satisfy customer requirements across the length and breadth of different use cases. And that gets us into a very interesting position of offering travel as a solution beyond just a commute from point A to point B. A case in point is essentially what we've extended for the business segment, right, with Uber for Business, or U4B, how we call it. And if we can save an individual a ton of money, you can also save a corporate a ton of money. And how that happens is basically you sign up a corporate, the individuals get registered, and they get to take trips officially, centrally bill back to the corporate. That's the transmission of travel. That's the transmission of ideas. That's the transmission of application from what is one use case to a multitude of use cases.
Hi, I'm Sumit. Starting from where he left, I think whenever you look at travel, there are multi reasons when you travel. Some could be business and some could be on a personal or holiday travel. Now, when you look at travel per se, the flight, the hotels, and even the taxis are taken care. But what you really want when you go to a destination is, can I really do something which is very authentic of that particular place? Just to give an example, if you are traveling to Mysore, can I really go and see where the Mysore Park is getting made? That's primarily the experience is what the next revolution of travel would really move towards. So going ahead more from the customer insights which has come. So what we have tried to build on the mobile app called Frogo is where when you travel to a destination or when you are looking to do something which is very authentic of a place, more so on experience based, you can really look and discover and book it on Frogo. Now, having said that, what you're also doing, basis consumer feedback is, just to give another example, if I'm traveling from here to Ooty, is there an app which can actually say on the route, you are able to look at different destinations and basis that feedback, can I really explore those things on the way? So that's basis the consumer insight we try to build up on the mobile app, where you're really trying to understand and provide different experiences on the way to the destination. So that's where the consumer insights and consumer findings are something which is essentially to build the app which you are trying to build.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Himanshu. I am from Wire.com. So basically what I'll say, when you're designing an app for travel, so basically you should not replicate it as a desktop website on a smaller screen. Your app should basically enable customer from planning till the trip end. So in planning, it should assist him at every point. Then when customer book from you, there might be some network issue. So if there's a network issue, then your app should basically fire a notification, okay, your search results are ready, use it. So in Via app, we try to incorporate all those elements of travel together.
Kind of how you think about the elements of design and you think about the sort of form factor of the app, more from a product standpoint, and what that can really bring to sort of accentuate that. So whether it's an in-car experience for Zoomcar, in-ride experience for Uber, whether it's with Frogo, or whether on the hotel side when you're thinking about that extended stay. But how can the app really, as a platform, when you think about from a design element and then from a feature standpoint, really give that next level of enhancement to the customer? So.
Yeah, see, for us, since our core product is, and that's how we make money, is when a person books a hotel. So for us, when we designed the app, and like I said, when we launched, we cluttered it up, but we stripped it out. And for me, it's, if a consumer signs in, they search, they look, and they book. That's it. And it's after that is when I want to add in more value-add experiences for consumers. May it be, get a car for you, may get a cab from you, but the whole design experience and even in our future iterations of the product, we don't want to lose focus of that consumer whose primary aim to open our product, because there are multiple apps, there's a lot of advantages of apps, but there's app fatigue, and we have to ensure that if a consumer has opened it, they experience a good experience, they convert, and then the other value adds come in, and that's the focus for us. Again, and that's based on really learning from consumers, and also me myself. I'm a consumer, and that's the flow I like.
So from the experience perspective for an individual, it's pretty interesting. Still now, there's been uniformity in the way that you actually use and interact with a major travel app. So let's take Uber, for example, right? You use it for one thing. Your experience on it is when you've booked a ride, you're on trip, and that's it. But now that there's enough usage, enough trips, enough data, the platform's large enough, you can actually bring about customizations that are individualized to a person's identity, to their choices, to their current situation and circumstance. So right from, we're making it ubiquitous to book an Uber, for instance, right? So no matter what you're doing, you could be on a social media platform, you could be on Facebook, you could be on a social chat, you could be scanning the internet, reading a blog. You can actually book for an Uber, pre-schedule it when required. It's been tested in the US. And it gets done effortlessly. You don't have to necessarily go deep into the app to book a ride, right? Next is when you're on the ride. So how do you individualize it? Based on where you're going, what your preferences are, all right? It's called trip experiences. You actually have the ability of the app intelligently giving you recommendations. So let's assume you've made a booking at a restaurant and you've put the destination as say, China Gate, right? When you're going over there, the Uber app is actually going to prompt you, and as you come closer, it'll probably link up and show you the menu and potentially give you an option for ordering, right? So how do you enhance the experience for the user? Right from entertainment to knowing about the latest current affairs in the world, education, podcasts, if you want to communicate, what are the ways in which you can maximize the time and hold the attention of the customer productively during that time? So individualization is something that's the next frontier. And we've also, through APIs, there are multitude of companies that are able to now plug into this ecosystem. And I think that's the future, the larger future for the whole industry, right? It's all becoming on demand. It's becoming last minute. For something like hotel room aggregation, right? We always thought it's done well in advance. Latest reports by kayak.com is that about 50% of the bookings are done the same day now.
Even in India, what, 30 to 40% are done same day or day plus one.
Exactly. So how do you really build inventories, build technology, build solutions to really solve for the on-demand economy, right? Which is pretty much translating, everyone's gravitating towards that. So, yep, that's where we are.
I think analytics is something which would really help in building a lot of personalization. So if you look at any app today, what you're primarily doing is the screen is essentially to the checkout should be not more than 4. But on the back end, if there's a lot of personalization which is possible basis some analytics, it's when the customer experience really matters. That's one. Second, what you look at it, if you look at the way the global markets are always also evolving, there are apps which are like a Wanderlust, then there are Airbnb neighborhoods. So these are essentially looking at understanding that when the customer has actually checked in into a hotel or into an Airbnb room, what are the few things which he would really want? And then offering those things in a nice package that really will bring in that the entire stay experience is wonderful over there. So these small pieces which each of the companies are really working towards through essentially APIs or through integrations are essentially trying to reach out to customer and make an offering which is far more personalized, far more easier and far more comfortable and at a on the demand basis.
Yeah, I think in-app chat should be the part of each and every travel app, because like when person is traveling, it is very difficult to call during the experience. So you should always basically prompt user, hey, what's going on? Have you checked into hotel? And similarly, user should able to basically send you feedback or any request over chat, which can be served from the back end. So that is one thing which is, I think, very, very important when you are building a travel app. Beside this, obviously, it applies to all the app. It should be like, there should be no friction, and typing on keyboard in mobile is very difficult. So what we do at Wire.com, we basically indexed lots of basically names on the back end, and when user is typing his passenger name, it basically suggests. So if I'm typing my name like HIM, it automatically suggests Himanshu and all those things. So you should basically, you should avoid, like, user should not type too much in your app. Otherwise, basically, since it is very difficult. So these are like, there are many elements which we can improve, and it applies to grossly all other app also.
Great. So let's take a step back now. I want it to look like maybe 30 seconds each.
Siri, book me a room tonight. And it's done. Or book me a room through SavvyMob, and SavvyMob does it directly. So it's voice. I don't know how it happens. I haven't thought of it. But I have a 12-year-old daughter, and she takes up the app, takes my phone, and starts playing around. And Siri is basically her pal on the phone. And if you're looking at the next gen coming up, it's something you can do with voice in the app, through the app, or nowadays it's, I know for me that's the next thing. How do we tackle that? And again, I'm not looking at this audience. I'm not looking at us. I'm looking at the 15-year-old who in the next 5 years would be our customers.
Right. Fair point.
So I think innovations in pricing models, who knows, maybe you're able to subscribe to a service like Uber, like you're able to subscribe to Netflix, right? You don't have to pay per trip. Maybe you just have such a proliferation of cars, Ubers across the road that you have reduced times that you take to commute, because there's just so many people doing more pool trips that you're able to reduce the traffic congestion and therefore shorten the time for commute. Definitely some part of the world is going to have autonomous vehicles, a bunch of them on our platform. So it's pretty exciting, what we're going to be experiencing 3 years down the line on the app, and how intuitive it will be to be able to sync with your schedules and predictively be able to dispatch and book rides for you before you even know that you need one, right? Amazon is tinkering that with predictive inventory forwarding. I mean, who knows? I mean, the whole sector is going to move in that predictive mode. So it's going to be pretty exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I think if you look at it, augmented reality is something which should really start picking up. I think travel has been more towards a lot of information which has been provided by TripAdvisor, some bit of video, but if you look at the mobile also has moved towards a lot more mobile getting into some offering augmented reality as an offering. So that's something which you would really define, and somebody who's able to crack that right, and more so from an experience based, is something which would see a good amount of customers moving towards it.
Yeah, I think AI and NLP basically will play a major role from like next years. So basically, customer can ask you anything. I want to go to this beach with my wife and 2 kids. The system should be able to understand like what your customer wants. It should be able to react. Customer might ask you, I want like extra baggage. I mean, your system should be able to understand what your customer wants. If I am going with my child, that means I need some extra baggage. So your system should be able to prompt him, okay, there is an offer for you for extra baggage. So everything has to be personalized from the AI and system. So that will take a major role in next few years.
Well, I mean, just to give a little insight for us at Zoomcar, so we're really obsessing over the in-car experience and that in-trip experience. For us, our bookings typically can be 1 day, 2 day, 5 days. So we have longer bookings, and it's really about that emotional connect. It's about what you can do to make it really that much more experiential, because we always really consider ourselves more of a viral type service and product that's very word of mouth oriented, and it's about kind of telling a cousin, telling a friend, telling a relative loved one about what you were able to do with a Zoomcar. And so as we look out 2 years, 3 years, it's about enabling more and more of these type of experiences and having, as we discussed, a lot more of these API integrations, a lot more predictive analytics for sure, in terms of telling, ideally, you should be able to know, okay, this group of people, this age, they've taken 2 Zoomcar rides, 3, 4 rides. You should be able to tell them where they should be going to eat, where they should be going to see, and that sort of curated experience is what we want to also offer up to the customer. And that's ultimately where guides will be the absolute happiest. So it's going to be quite exciting. So I think with that, we'll just open it up. We have about 2-3 minutes here for some questions from the audience.
Hi guys, good afternoon. My name is Arun. So what we've spoken a lot about customization and experiences for the user side, consumer side. Are you seeing any customization and experiences in the seller side also? For example, let's say take an example of Uber. I was so thrilled that guy just gave a 5-star over there. I'm like, wow, what did I do for that? So are you gonna do any customization experiences for the seller side also? Because I also heard Airbnb in between, right? Over there, the seller is as important as the buyer. I'm guessing even in Frogo's case, a lot of experience providing that happens. So could you shed some highlights onto that?
Sure. Thanks for the question. It's important, right? Because there are two constituents, right? Over here in the transaction, we've got the platform, but you basically have, the person who's actually riding and the person who's driving, right? So rightfully so, we spoke a lot about the rider experiences, right? But what does transmission of travel mean for who gets to drive? What's going to change in their life in the future, right? So some of this you're already seeing innovative ways to actually utilize the force of people who potentially could be on the platform and in the sharing economy, lend their time, their services, their assets, for a third party to actually leverage off. So not everybody really needs to own a car and drive the car. You could actually have a meeting of resources. An individual who has free time meets an individual who has an asset which has, downtime. So for example, if you've read the papers recently, I think it was with Hertz in the US, where they're exploring a model with Uber where you are able to rent a car from them and also ply on the Uber platform, right? Because that's pretty interesting. You're renting it for your purpose, but at the same time, you're able to also ply and make some money off it while servicing the need of somebody else who needs to go from A to B. So there's going to be innovation around how do more and more people plug into this ecosystem, be able to provide a service as well as be able to financially be remunerative for them. And how does it become more accountable, easier for them to do so?
Can
I ask a
just
question,
to
please?
add to it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to add, supply side is something which we overall believe is where a lot of criticality of business would revolve. Somebody who really build a lot of strength in supply is the one who would actually lead the race in the long run. So in terms of what you were saying, we are doing a lot of interventions with the suppliers to bring in and understand and make them aware of what the customer experience is, because unless they know what the experience is, they will not be able to pass it on to the customer.
Yeah, with a lot of analytics happening right now and tracking where the user is going, everything. So is it not burdening on the user, like knowing each and every part wherever he or she is traveling? And depending on the analytics, you are trying to give some inputs that so-and-so hotel is good and so-and-so hotel is bad. So is it not you overburdening the user by providing a lot of information at one instant?
You got to be careful there. If you get too intrusive and start disturbing a user, they'll delete your product, they'll delete your app. So there's a fine balance over there. I mean, I see a lot of companies just bombarding me with emailers and push notifications. I keep them on because more from a business intelligence perspective, but it's annoying. So yeah, you have to be careful there. So it's and also depends on a company's way of managing that whole part of it.
It's an opt-in model, right? So it depends on how much the user is willing to share. And what we must understand sitting in this room is millennials have a very different approach to data and to sharing of data. They're far less apprehensive than us because they've been born into this system where, they from day one have been privy to all sorts of data and they know that their data is pretty much accessible to everyone. So they'll, as we start going into the next decade, their propensity to be, accepting of such, data privacy / data disclosure norms is going to be much greater than what, all of us exhibit right now. And that's where it's really going to take off.
All right. Thank you,
Great.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.